Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV, More Than Meets the Third Eye. I am your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah, and this is your Spiritual Vitamins. So let's get ready to get into it. First of all, shout out to everyone in the chat and everyone tuned into the Queen. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about telepathy. Briefly, I'm not going to go so far into it. This is going to be kind of brief, and we will re-examine this, in the days to come, as well as some other things that pertain to it, like telekinesis. Okay. So with that all being said, everyone please like and share this video. Please make sure that you like and share the video. You all know that they have the Queen Shadow Band. Okay, and so let's talk about it. First things first, what is telepathy? Well, telepathy is defined as the communication of impressions of any kind or from one mind to another, independently or recognized channels of sense. Now, with the help of various rigorous paradigms over the last 70 years, systematic research has lent support to the reality of telepathy. Okay, meta-analysis of Gainesfield studies, as well as card guessing tasks, studies provide compelling evidence of the existence of telepathy. This is a mysterious phenomenon that has implications not only in the cognitive sciences, but also in the biological and healing sciences. It has long been assumed that conscious intention has the capacity to affect living systems across a distance. Intercessory prayers, healing energy, and similar other methods have long been a part of medicine. So, analyzing the underpinnings of telepathy might potentially help in understanding the distant healing phenomenon. Okay? So, with that all being said, a lot of people feel that when they pray, they're doing so telepathically. And you actually are. Because sometimes we pray aloud, but most of the time, at least for myself, most of the time I just close my eyes and I, say things in my mind. Basically, it's our thoughts. Okay, so we communicate with the Most High telepathically for the most part. At least that's what I believe. Now, some of you may feel differently. And at the end of the day, also, when we're close to people, people that we know very well, that we have common bonds with, and things like that, I believe that we absolutely communicate with them telepathically in some cases. Now, some people may think these things that occur are mere circumstance, or happenstance or whatever, but I think that sometimes it's absolutely, telepathic. For example, if you're thinking about someone or you're talking about them and then all of a sudden they call, you could say that's a coincidence, and maybe it is. But if you do this on a frequent basis, then this is likely telepathy, because I had this ex-boyfriend once. Every time I would call him, he would say, "Oh, I was just about to call you. Oh, I was just thinking about you." And he said it so much that I would just be like, "Okay, clearly he is just running the game. He can't really be thinking about me every time that I call him." But then I also started to notice that when he would call me, I was literally just thinking about him, or I was just about to call him. So I later started studying telepathy and telekinesis and things like that. And that's when I realized that, okay, so I formed some type of spiritual connection with this person. And you can have these types of connections with your children, with your spouse, your friends. It could be anyone, but just someone that's close to you whom you have a common bond with. You absolutely, I believe that you can start to even read one another's minds. Now, me and my son Reno, we absolutely can read each other's minds. Sometimes I know exactly what he's thinking, and sometimes he knows exactly what I'm thinking. Sometimes he'll say exactly what's on my mind, and sometimes I'll say exactly what's on his. The funny thing is, me and Reno are both, very much alike in some aspects, but very different in others. But we're both born under the Jack of Clubs. Now, if you know anything about numerology, and I've told you plenty about it, but in numerology, we're all born under a different card. Okay. And I'm born under the Jack of Clubs, and so is he. Now, the person that has this card as their birth card tends to be very mentally creative, very intelligent, and multi-talented. And you see, that's where they get the term from, a jack of all trades. Because people who are born under the Jack of Clubs card, they tend to be multi-talented. I wonder if Jamie Foxx is born under one, because he definitely is. He's funny. He's a comedian. He can be a serious actor, and he can sing. So people, who have multiple talents. So anyway, at the end of the day, like I was saying, maybe it's because me and Reno have such similar traits that we can read one another's minds. Because me and my other son D'Angelo, well, we don't have that connection. We don't really have that connection. Of course, I'm around Reno a lot more than I'm around him. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But nevertheless, there are people, I'm sure, that you think about them and they show up, or they call you or something like that. And it may happen consistently, not if it happens once or twice. I wouldn't call that telepathy. That could just be happenstance. Okay. So just keep that in mind. But also, I feel like people that are telepathic, and not just with people that are close to them. Some people can do this with anybody. They can literally be in a crowd and they can hear a bunch of chatter, or they can, like with the clairaudience that I told you about them yesterday, not necessarily hear the chatter audibly, but basically have a bunch of thoughts from a bunch of people, different people having multiple thoughts coming to them from a myriad of people. Okay, like the chatter that people experience with clairaudience. And so these people, I feel, can actually control people's minds. Because think about it. What if you're in a relationship with someone who's telepathic, and they really, don't just have to be close to someone, they can just do this with anybody? Now just think about it. This person could probably control your mind to a certain degree. And how would you know it if they were doing it? Because you wouldn't know it. That's the thing. That's why when people are brainwashed, they don't know they've been brainwashed. That's part of the deception. So I think they could control the minds of others because they know what you're thinking. And so if they know what you're thinking, that means they know what you're going to likely say and what you're going to do. So they can just say something or do something to counter it. And then they can also likely influence the thoughts of others. And the CIA, they have dabbled in this along with mind control. Okay, and they absolutely have. So that's why I further think that these two go hand in hand and can, in fact, be dangerous in the hands of the wrong type of person. Because let's not forget that some people would use their spiritual gifts for good, and some people would absolutely use them for nefariousness. Okay, and they have this book called The Science of Mind Control and Telepathy. They also have another one. It's called, I can't remember the name of it offhand. But they do have books on this. They do have a lot of information on this, and like I said, I think they go hand in hand. Okay, so with that all being said, if you've ever had any type of experience like that that you feel is telepathic, put that in the chat or leave me a comment. They had for a while been struggling to find out if telepathy was in fact even real. And of course, it absolutely is. I mean, they use this when they talk about different things that pertain to paranormal phenomena. Okay, so hold on, give me just a moment. Let me see if I can pull up this PowerPoint. I'm not going to show this on the screen. It's just something so that I don't forget my notes. And telepathy is a way to better connect with others. Okay? So it was first coined back in 1882 by psychologist Frederick W.H. Myers. Now, while it's considered a pseudoscience by many, because you see, it's difficult to prove. You see, people can't really prove, conclusively if someone's reading other people's minds. They could say, well, maybe they told you these things before, or it could be a trick, or maybe it's just coincidence and things like that. So some people just don't even believe in it. But having the ability to communicate thoughts and or ideas by means other than the five senses, that we learn about in school, such as seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. These things are related to being psychic and clairvoyant. So you can ask yourself, why would I want to use telepathy? Well, it can help during times when you don't know what to say or how to say it. Maybe you have a fear of being unheard or rejected. Maybe it doesn't feel right to pick up the phone with your ex, or a friend that you fell out with, but you still want to know what's in their heart. And then maybe if you know what's in their heart, you'll feel more inclined to speak to them, right? But it's not always possible to say the things that we need or want to say to someone in the real world. Sometimes we don't know how people are going to take us. Sometimes people send us mixed messages. But see, if you're telepathic, you already know conclusively what they mean. Because the good thing about telepathy is that the thoughts that you read and entertain are conveniently cognitive. You see, sometimes people think in fragments. I know I do. Sometimes I'm thinking about a myriad of things at times because my brain is very overactive. And I could be doing things, multitasking, and thinking about other things that I need to do, and then worried about something on the other hand. And so I have these random thoughts, and I may not finish certain thoughts, may not be complete, right? But the thing is, when someone's telepathic, they don't see your unfinished thoughts, the thoughts that just briefly come into your mind. No, they get the full picture. Okay. And that's important because sometimes these plots or these thoughts go to a plot, or they're part of a bigger picture. And so this is how people can gain insight on you. And just think about, if you're in a relationship with someone who reads your mind, how are you going to lie to them? Because you know that people that are telepathic, they are absolutely human lie detectors, right? They're human lie detectors. They're going to know when you're lying because they already know what you're going to say before you say it, because they already read your mind, remember? So just think about that. That's why some people, they can't get away with anything in relationships. And then they think, well, how did they know that? They think the person's a private investigator, but sometimes the person can simply be telepathic. Okay? And this is absolutely true. So anyway, so let's talk about why we would use it. Let's talk about that. Why we would use it. So if you're nervous or feel silly or feel like you're going to get it wrong, you can always try to figure out what the person's thinking, right? If you're telepathic. Now, there was a person who wrote an article where they said that their family called it a little voice, saying that they found it helpful for beginners when they were trying to explain to them the sixth sense or another language that you were born with, and that you just simply need to remember it. It's like a psychic telephone network that connects you to everyone and everything, including people, plants, animals, and stars. Because that's the thing. People that are telepathic can actually communicate with animals. Okay, think about that. If they can communicate with humans and read their thoughts and minds, they are very good at communicating with animals as well. Now, the more you open up to the possibility of telepathy, the more you'll start to notice the messages from your spirit guides and ancestors, and the synchronicities or coincidences, or what you think were coincidences, that have always been running through your life. Now, if you can tap into this way of communicating, your life and relationships can shift enormously. Just think about that. You have more insight, and you can build a more a closer bond with someone that you're in a relationship with, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship. So the great thing about telepathy is that it can be done or practiced by anyone. Everyone has the ability to send thoughts and ideas to others. Remember, thoughts are electromagnetic frequencies and energy. Okay. But not many people realize that they have this ability, or they're not even doing it consciously. They don't realize that it's a talent or a skill. But with talents and skills, what do you have to do? You have to practice. And so experts have talked about, practicing telepathy on a partner or a family member at first. And according to Mystic Michaela, telepathy works best when you already have a connection or bond with someone. This is absolutely true. Like family, friends, romantic relationships, like I said before, since you're more likely to be telepathically communicating to them already on some level, even if you don't realize it. Okay. It's about first paying attention to the telepathy that's already occurring between people that you surround yourself with. Okay. First of all, begin in a meditative state. Okay. Here are some things that can help you try to get into it. Now, if you have already been experiencing it, then this will help you to fine tune it and make your gift stronger. Just like when you go to the gym and you work out and your muscles, they break down at first and then they build back up and they get stronger. That's the same thing. And remember, if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay. So sit in a meditative state and visualize a person that you want to connect with, sitting or standing in front of you. Picture sending them love, gratitude, or a feeling of urgency. Now take that feeling and see it as a state of energy that can travel to them. Send small messages to someone you care about. So to enhance a dream telepathic connection, Mystic Michaela says that before you go to sleep, ask your higher self to visit their consciousness and give a message. Start to send messages to someone through your thoughts and states of mind. Ask them to communicate back to you in this state that they did receive the message that you sent out. Well, I've tried that. Because once I started realizing that I'm communicating telepathically with certain people, I started, excuse me, I started basically trying to send them messages through dreams. And you can pull people into your dreams also. I think I've told you all about how I was working with this lady that I didn't really know that well. This was years ago when I was in college. And so she told me this dream that she had, and it was very similar to a dream that I'd had. Matter of fact, it was the same dream, honestly, that I'd had 2 years prior. I mean, in the way she described it and everything, the scenery, everything about it was so similar. Okay, like it was really crazy. So, and even the words that she chose to use, like, when I was describing the dream to my friend, I told her that I was walking down a gloomy street, on a cloudy day, and the leaves were rustling on the trees, and there was a huge synagogue before me, and I felt like something was afoot. Now, I don't know about you, but I've not heard a lot of people use that word afoot, or when they talk about leaves, say they were rustling. You see stuff like that in books when people write, and I do write. I'm an author, but so that's why I use certain words. But when this woman was explaining her dream to me, she was using those exact same words. And I thought that was so strange. Not only is she saying my dream back to me, but she's giving me the same talking points that I actually used. So when I spoke with an older gentleman who was a shaman, he said that I had pulled her into my dream. And I had never heard of that except from A Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger. Pay attention. So I was like, how did I put her into my dream? Like, I had my dream 2 years ago and she just had hers. But he said there's no time in the dream realm. In the spiritual realm, there's no time. There's no time is a man-made concept. And so time really does not exist. And so then that made a little bit more sense, but I was still just curious as to why I would have pulled her into my dream, you know, because I didn't know this lady very well. And I definitely didn't know her 2 years prior when I actually had the dream. So I just thought it was very strange. But sometimes you have spiritual connections to people because you've known them in a past life. Okay. So anyway, be ready to hear back from others. So if you send someone this message, like if you're lying down meditating before you go to bed at night and thinking about someone and visualizing them standing in front of you, and just sending them a message by just simply thinking about what you would say if they were right there or what you want to say, and then the next day asking them what they dreamt about. And if they say they dreamt about you, then most of you will probably say, "Oh, that's just coincidence." But what if they told you exactly what you were saying to them in your mind before you went to sleep? Would you be convinced? Because I would. And I've absolutely done that before, like I said. So they may tell you how much you've been on their mind or how they felt compelled to reach out to you that day. They may randomly ask you if everything is okay or if you need anything. If it's someone who isn't in your daily life anymore, the contact may be more passive. They may just be like, maybe they'll post something on social media or suddenly send you a DM saying hello or something like that. But if it's someone you're close to, they'll probably, um, mention it to you that they had this dream about you. So anyway, but you have to be patient when you're trying to do this, when you're practicing it, because as with all spiritual gifts, they take time for us to fine tune them. Most of all, when it comes to telepathy, it's important to be patient. It's like learning a new skill. It'll take time to get good at it. Thoughts are powerful, so repetition is a good thing. Now, while some people may be better senders than receivers, others may be better receivers than senders, and some people are equally good at sending and receiving. And that's why it's good that you're in this class, that you're members of this channel, because this is all about spiritual growth and raising our vibrations and elevating and evolving, and also trying to bring our spiritual gifts to surface. Because I've told you before, I think that we're all born with them. Some of us just don't understand them. Some of us just don't even believe in them. Some of us just don't know about them. And so they lie dormant and you have to awaken them. So a scholar by the name of Donnelly says, make sure you are practicing good spiritual hygiene. Now that is important. Remember, I did a video for you about spiritual hygiene. And if you forgot what you learned in that video, please go back and watch it. Okay, go back and revisit that. Basically, it's meaning that you are taking care of yourself throughout your psychic development, throughout your spiritual work, that you should be also doing your shadow work that we talked about. Now that's part of why, I teach you all these different things on this channel, because I want you to be able to put all these things together. You understand what I'm saying? I want you to be able to use all of these things together. They all work together like a fine-tuned machine to help you along your spiritual path. They all relate to one another. So you need to be able to release the things that are not yours, such as ideas, fears, thoughts, and more from the collective, with love, of course. Okay, and that can take practice. And so that's why it's really good that you're all following this channel. You see, because it just goes to show that you're doing the work, that you're trying to better yourselves. You're trying to evolve. And that's the first step. Because some people, they're just, complacent. There's some people that are just, living a mundane existence. They don't really think about whether or not they have a divine purpose. They really don't care. They just want to just be here, and just live life as a human. But let's remember, we're not just human. We're spiritual beings living a human experience. So if we're spiritual beings, we should be learning as much about spirituality and practicing as much spirituality as we can. Now, Donnelly also suggests doing a similar exercise during similar exercises with friends, um, things that you can do together, such as meditating, yoga, trying to practice visualization, and things like that. And they have different types of exercises that you can do. So, for example, Dr. Rappaport recommends another easy exercise. The next time you, your friend, or a partner goes out to the grocery store, to work, or just goes out anywhere, even if you don't meditate or have problems relaxing, just clear your mind and repeat the sentence multiple times. And this is the sentence he says you should repeat. Why don't you pick up blank on your way home? Now, you can even visualize them doing it and then let it go. If it worked, you'll soon find out that your partner picked up your favorite snack without you even having to tell them. If it doesn't work, simply say it again. So, for example, why don't you pick up blank on your way home? Well, you can call your spouse or your friend or whomever, and just, well, not call them, but you can think about them, um, and then say to them mentally in your mind, why don't you pick up, let's just say, why don't you pick up me some chocolate chip cookies on the way home? And then if they show up with chocolate chip cookies, are you going to think that's a coincidence? I wouldn't. And so Donnelly suggests doing, trying this, and just to see if it works. And if not, you just keep practicing. Okay. Now, the benefits of telepathy, like I said, a lot of us practice telepathy when we're praying, and we may not even have thought of it that way, but that's absolutely what we're doing. When we're trying to communicate with the Most High non verbally, when we're not saying or doing anything physically, or just speaking out loud audibly, well, we're communicating with the Most High by simply closing our eyes and focusing our thoughts, and then thinking about what we want to ask for, or what we want to be grateful or thankful for, or what we want to say. So, according to Donnelly, you start to see larger patterns in your life the minute you began to use telepathy. You began to understand that things happen with and for you, not to you. Things start to be a part of a beautiful tapestry, even the hard stuff. Even the bad things that happen, you can use it for something good to benefit yourself, like a lesson learned, perhaps even. Now, instead of perceiving life as a string of random things that happen by chance, you began to take other people's actions less personally and realize that we are actually moving in concert with each other, the earth and the stars. It is a gift and a form of communication that will help you stay calm and focused as you move forward with these, or through these, shall I say, externally chaotic times. And let's not forget, we're engaged in spiritual warfare here. So we really need to be trying to do the work at the end of the day. I was talking to someone the other day. I hadn't spoken to them in about 3 months, and I called them to check on them. And this is an elder, that I have a lot of admiration for. And I called them to see how they were doing, because I felt like something was wrong. And I was like, let me call him, because I haven't talked to him in a minute. And he told me that he was going through a spiritual warfare and was in a fight for his life. Now, that was deep to me, because I feel that, I'm going through spiritual warfare. I feel like we all are, as things are being so chaotic in life, in the world. And, as the tides are shifting, things are becoming revealed. Okay, a lot of things are being revealed. It's like the veil is opening up. And with that, you have a lot of demonic forces and negative entities and malevolent spirits and all of that, you know, um, trying to hinder you from certain things. And you have these wicked people who are nothing but demons walking around cloaked in flesh. They're out here doing all sorts of wicked, nefarious things too. Um, we don't have to call any specific names, but I'll call one Bill Gates. So we have people out here doing these mischievous and malevolent things, nefarious works that they're out here doing. And that's all a part of spiritual warfare, as far as I'm concerned, when you have to always be worried about what's going on, you know? or what's going to hit us, what are they going to hit us with next. So now ask yourself if you've ever thought of someone only to receive a text from that same person just moments later. Some people call that precognition, and in fact it is. But remember, psychic abilities and telepathy go hand in hand. Okay? They absolutely go hand in hand. And it is a superpower. And likely all of our spiritual gifts, when we start to use them and we understand them and we can fine tune them, well, they all can be used as superpowers. Realizing You have to realize that everyone doesn't have them. Everyone is born with them, but everyone doesn't still have them. And the reason is because, like I told you, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And then some people just have them lying so far dormant in the back of their brains that they're never going to do anything with them anyway. Never going to do anything with them anyway at the end of the day. And some people are perfectly fine with that. But you know what? If we can create our own realities, I would love to have all the tools at my disposal that I could possibly use. And definitely telepathy is one of them. Now, there's no convincing scientific evidence, or there's basically, as I was saying earlier, there's no convincing scientific evidence that telepathy exists. But however, it has always been a superpower sought by spiritualists, psychologists, mentalists, and magicians. Okay, for example, magicians like Oz Perlman. Okay, someone who's famous for seemingly reading the thoughts of their subjects, and they make enormous amounts of money by showcasing this unique talent. Now, whether these shows are genuine cases of telepathy is much disputed by some, as they seem to combine, a set of skills such as trickery, distraction, empathy, manipulation, staging, and guesswork. Reminds me of the psychic Sylvia Brown, because I think a whole lot of what she did was guesswork. Okay, because she was often wrong. That's all I'm saying. But there was a panel commissioned by the U.S. National Research Council that concluded, despite a 130-year record of scientific research on such paranormal matters, the committee found no scientific justification for the existence of phenomena such as extrasensory perception, mental telepathy, or mind over matter exercises. They said they just didn't find it. Well, here's the thing. If they did find it, would they really tell us? I have questions, because we already know that they want to keep the masses asleep. They don't want us to wake up and understand the power that we have, right? So if they don't want us to understand the power that we have, would they really tell us that telepathy absolutely is real, that you absolutely can use it to change your life, to have the life that you want, that it can benefit you? Would they tell us that? I don't think they would. I absolutely don't think that they would. We are inclined to suppose this knowledge has transferred from one to another through unknown ways and with exclusion of the communication methods that everybody knows. Therefore, our conclusion should be that thought transmission exists. Now, that's a quote from Sigmund Freud. That thought transmission actually does exist. So in history, telepathy was explained as a gift from the gods. Okay? Something bestowed upon shamans, priestesses, healers, and anyone else who held the religious seat of power within a community. But functionally, it worked a lot like therapy. Rituals for reading thoughts or dreams are about, you know, more psychedelics and sweet lodges. They provide concrete mental assurances for the afflicted. Rituals provide a comforting structure, using herbs and potions to provide at least a placebo effect. And the end of the ritual provides closure and finality. That's what some scholars say. But most importantly, though, having someone read your mind gives a patient hope that they can be understood, that they are seen and accepted by their people and by their God. So back in ancient Greece, they talked about telepathy. They had these there were absolute, or there were absolute heights of medicine back in the day. They had inpatient facilities focusing on rest, diet, exercise, and an early form of group talk therapy is what they used. And they attracted the very best doctors. But it's the construction of some of the temples that, was most fascinating to some of these people. The patient quarters were connected to the group therapy area by a long subterranean tunnel. And as the patients walked one at a time to therapy, they would hear voices coming from above them. Now, voices coming out of secret speakers that connected to the doctors at the top, who would walk with their patients, whispering encouragement as they walked towards the light. The idea was to make the patients believe that these were their own thoughts, or in extreme cases, the voices of God's, which were encouraging them to get better. Isn't that something? So they used it for healing. It's like the placebo effect. You see, they made these people think that they were telepathically communicating with their God. And then the doctors would be right there beside them, encouraging them. And so they're thinking, okay, yeah, I'm going to get better. God hears my prayers. God's talking to me. This is also very deceptive, but I mean, I guess it was good and bad because it obviously healed some of these people. What do you all think about that? It does sound a little nefarious, if you ask me. It does sound a little bit sketchy. But the main thing is, when you're trying to build a relationship with someone, you're trying to find your soulmate, and you have a superpower such as telepathy, well, I feel like you would be a whole lot better off. It would be a whole lot easier for you to find what you're looking for, because you can just weed out the bad people or the ones who would be wasting your time, because you already know what they have on their mind. Pay attention. You would be able to just read, their thoughts and know if they were up to no good. And that's also how a lot of people would not be able to successfully go out here lying and cheating and being deceitful if they had mates that could absolutely read their thoughts. So I want to know really what you all think about this, and also think about if you had clairaudience and telepathy. Some people have both. Some people have multiple spiritual gifts. So I just want you to think about these things and focus on it. And then if you have experienced some of the things that I mentioned, that possibly people with telepathy have, you should be trying to fine tune it. If that's if you want to keep that gift, which you obviously should for a myriad of reasons. But you should be trying to fine tune it. Practicing, like I said, doing more visualization and meditation. Meditation is absolutely key. You have to clear your mind of clutter, and you have to be able to relax. And you have to, and here's another thing, all of this is very beneficial as well when you're trying to manifest things. Some people think that manifestation is just so easy. You just sit down and think about what you want. No, you have to be in a positive frame of mind. You have to be in a high frequency, because low vibrational, you will manifest, but you're only going to manifest low vibrational things. You're going to manifest negativity, the last thing that you should want. So if you want positive things to manifest in your life, you have to always be thinking positively. You have to always be vibrating high. And when you're trying to make things happen, when you're trying to create this wonderful reality for yourself, because remember, you do have the ability, the capacity to create your own reality. I told you this a myriad of times. So, but when you're trying to do these things, you have to be high vibrational. Okay, whatever you put out into the universe, that energy comes right back to you. That energy comes right back to you. Some people call it karma. Some people call it karma, but if you put out negative energy, what do you think is going to come back? Just like a boomerang. So when you want to manifest things that are for your good and for your benefit, then you should be thinking and speaking things that are for your good and for your benefit, rather than negative self-talk. So anyway, I'm going to show you guys a couple of videos from some spiritual TikTokers. I like to give you their insight, but I'm going to show you a couple of videos from some spiritual TikTokers, just with them talking about their experiences with telepathy. And so you can kind of get, different views on it. They may agree with me, they may not. But at the end of the day, I just want you to hear some of the information that I found interesting. Okay, so let's get ready to get into that.
I'm about to share with you can change your fucking life. So listen up. I'm going to share with you a spiritual telepathy technique. This can be used to communicate with people alive or deceased. You can use this to communicate with a person that you're maybe afraid of having a conversation with. You can use this to communicate with a person who does not want to talk to you. And you can use that to communicate with any person on this planet, literally. For some of you, this may take some practice, but once you're good at it, you're fucking good at it, and it'll change your life. I'm about to teach you how to do soul communication. That means you'll be speaking to somebody's soul and not their human. This has helped one of my clients speak to her son again after he has not been wanting to talk to her. This has helped another client of mine find out what her ex really wanted to say to her and that she's never heard before after past life regression, and then he ended up texting her saying that exact same thing, and we were both mind blown. Is this ethical? Yes, it is, because the other person's soul is not going to speak to you if it does not want to communicate with you. But let's get into how you do soul communication. The first step before you start meditating is going to be setting an intention with who you want to talk to, whose soul you want to call in, whether they're deceased or alive. And you do this simply by saying, I intend to speak with XYZ, insert their name. Please join me in this conversation if you want to, or whatever else you feel comfortable saying in your intention. After the intention, you can do a protection ritual and really allow only love and light to come through. So you get into a meditative state, and however you want to do that is up to you, whether you would just want to sit down, whether you want to put on some binaural beats or some music on YouTube to listen to so you can meditate better. You get into a trance state. And then you imagine yourself being light, light surrounding you, light within you, and being one with the light. And I call this the light of love and peace and wisdom, which is your soul. Once you feel surrounded by light, once you feel the light inside of you, once you feel one with the light of love and peace and wisdom, you're going to imagine that there's a golden thread reaching out from your heart. Then you're going to call in the other person's soul, who is also showing up as a light. Maybe they're showing up in the human form, whatever it is. And you have that golden thread reach out to that person and connect it with their heart. So a golden thread connects you two lights from each other's hearts. And once you're connected with that person's soul, you can ask them any questions. You can observe them, you can have them ask you questions, and you can really have a conversation with their soul. And then watch what happens in real life. You may receive a message from them, you may receive a call from them, they may show up in your life. Like, who knows? This shit works. It is amazing. Save this video for later so you can do this technique and share it with somebody who needs it, and follow me for more.
Want to hear something real freaky? What do you think about experiments? Because I'm going to give you the opportunity to try one. No objects needed. I promise you it's fun, and I promise you it works. You just have to believe it works, okay? But I promise you it works. I promise you. Because it's to the point where this wasn't even an experiment that I made up, but it's something that I caught myself doing and continue to do after I caught myself doing it, and it works. Okay, enough of me rambling. I'm gonna put y'all on. So, if you have a question that you want to ask somebody, right? But maybe they're talking too much and you don't know how to fit in the question, or maybe you just don't want to ask the question because you don't want to, pass your place or whatever. I kid you not. Ask the question in your head and leave it alone. Literally ask the question and just feel that you want to know the answer. That's it. Then leave it alone. Leave it alone. Forget about the question. I kid you not. Forget about it. I promise you, within the conversation, the person is going to answer that question while they're speaking. I promise you. It's happened more times than I can count now. And if you want an energetic reason as to why this happened, we are all one consciousness. So sometimes our thoughts travel to someone's head, and the more aware you are is the more you can tell when a thought is yours and when a thought isn't. But for people who are not really as aware and they can't really tell which voice or which type of speaking is theirs in their head, they will listen to that question or listen to that idea and somehow just start speaking about it because it's in their head. So, it's on their mind. Why not speak about it? I promise you, this happened with my mother. This happened with people I've been in connections with. This happened with friends. This happened with family. It happened probably with everyone I've ever met in my life. And once I realized it, the more that I speak to people and I ask questions in my head, before I even get to ask the question out loud, even if I have the intention of asking the question out loud, I may have forgot about the question, and I promise you they answer the question. I'd be like, oh crap, that's the question I wanted to ask you that I forgot about. I promise you it works. Come back to this video and put me on. Tell me if this worked, or tell me if you ever tried this before, because I promise you it's gonna work.
Did you know that you're telepathic? Well, I'm about to teach you that you are. So this is going to be a telepathy exercise. I'm going to send you a color, okay? It's going to be one of these colors up here. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a deep breath. We're going to concentrate. We're going to take a moment to really expand our awareness out so I can send you the color and you can pick it up. So I'm going to send you this color, but what I'm going to do is I'm also going to send you impressions of things that may correlate with this color that I'm sending you. So let's just do a short little breathing exercise just to release any tension in the body and just open ourselves up into receiving, okay? So close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. And now remain open for receiving, okay? Open up your eyes. Okay? So the color is purple. Were you able to pick that up? I was sending you impressions of an amethyst, lavender, grapes. Let me know how you did. Did you know that you're telepathic? Well, I'm about to teach you.
I'm abundant, I'm wealthy, I'm rich, I have $1 million. Okay, let me check. Wow, that didn't work. You guys are such liars. Or, hear me out, not so much that we're liars as it is that you didn't really understand how the process works because no one fully explained it to you. To really understand the law of attraction, you have to fully understand that Earth is a feeling universe. What does that mean? It means that here in the Earth realm, if we want to manifest things, we have to be able to physically feel them first. Okay, so if Earth is a feeling universe, then how do I start to feel like a billionaire? How do I feel these energies of things I've never had before? You know we gonna get into it. Well, it's beautiful because something that you have in common with the energies that you're trying to feel is the exact potential that you need to have it. So everything is energy and energy is everything. Even you are energy. So yes, you are a human being with a physical meat suit, human vessel, absolutely. But inside you're a soul. Your soul is made of the same essence as all of the energies that you either do or do not want to attract. But the understanding of the law of attraction is that it doesn't understand wants or diswants. It only understands feelings. This is why we say you have to pay attention to what you're thinking, because your thoughts create feelings and your feelings manifest. So you have to think of your feelings as magnets. Okay, so let's say that the thought is, I'm always broke, there's never enough money. Okay, so you're thinking that with your human self, your human brain, right? That's going to cause a feeling or an emotion to come off. And an emotion, by the way, is just energy in motion. So you're thinking, I'm always broke, I never have enough money. That forces you to now feel emotions that are being magnetized to you based off of the thought. So you're feeling envy, anger, helplessness, stagnant, sadness, because you're thinking that there's never enough money. So these emotions about money attract debt, more bills, struggle, always being broke, never having enough money, repeating a cycle, because you're telling the universe that how you feel about money is that you feel envious, angry, helpless, stagnant. And like I said, because it's a magnet, it's only going to attract more of that to you. The law of attraction does not understand wants or this wants. It only understands feelings. That's why you can't be like, I don't want debt, I don't want debt, because you're still thinking about debt and you're feeling bad about having debt. So you're bringing more debt. Now, you would never have trouble manifesting anything if you weren't already programmed to believe that you couldn't have these things. There was something within you that taught you from a young age that you couldn't have these things or it'd be hard to have these things, or else you just have them. Money blockages are typically root chakra and heart chakra. So essentially what you're working towards is learning how to change your feelings so that your thoughts will change with them. The only way you can change a rooted feeling is if you get to the root of it and remove it. So that's shadow work. So you have to figure out why you feel a lack of love, money, wealth, and all those things, and then clear that out with shadow work so that you change how you naturally feel about those things, which changes what you think about.
That all been said, I hope you all got something out of this, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. And don't forget to do your positive affirmations, and don't forget to do your shadow work. Okay. And don't forget to practice your visualization along with your manifestation so that you can, in fact, live your divine purpose and so that you can manifest the life that you want to live. Okay, with that all being said, I wish you all love, peace, and blessings. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives.